Hello, happy holidays, and welcome back to Budget Waaagh. It looks like the red gobbo in the spirit of giving has hopped over from 40k to share the love with us in the Age of Sigmar realm, as we'll be getting 7 Battleforce boxes this year for the holiday season. In this video, I'll be talking over the value of each of the boxes, what you're getting in them in terms of models and points on the tabletop, and I'll give my overall thoughts on the boxes, some trends, and what I would keep and what I might change for each box at the end of the video. So if you're not familiar with the Battleforce boxes, Games Workshop every year releases large faction-specific army boxes at a pretty sizable discount of around 30 to 35%. This has been going on for Age of Sigmar since 2016, and I think a little bit longer for 40k. Typically, you see a couple more 40k releases than Age of Sigmar. 2021, we saw 4 boxes for Age of Sigmar and the Soulblight Gravelords, Slaanesh, Lumineth Realm Lords, and Ossiarch Bone Reapers. This year, we're getting a whopping 7 boxes, and we'll be going over each of the factions listed here in depth later in the video. I'm taking this data from fullhammer.com. I wasn't running the channel last year when the boxes were released, and these, of course, are no longer available. But the boxes last year ran from $210 US each, or 130 pounds, 160 euro. They were a rough value of around $300, give or take $20, and they represented a savings of 30 to 35% compared to buying the sets individually. Using today's points values, I found that the boxes from last year, most of them were around 820 to 875 points. The one exception to that was the Ossiarch Bone Reapers box, which contained 1,075 points worth of models. Now this is interesting because for this year, the prices haven't been released yet, but we can expect it'll likely be $210 to $220. The recent Slaves to Darkness launch box, which similar amount of value in that box, was $200. So there's a good chance they may remain at $210, but I wouldn't be surprised if it went up to $220 with inflation. Value in terms of dollar value for these sets is between $300 to $350, with the lowest dollar value set being still worth $302. So that's better than last year. And then the savings ranges from 27 to 37%. The points value of these boxes, most of them are 1,000 points or above. There is one notable exception, which is 830 points, but overall a much larger points value in each of these sets compared to last year, and therefore greater points per dollar ratio in terms of how far your dollars are going and in terms of gameplay value. Like I said, there's a few things I might change about these boxes, so stick around at the end of the video to see what I change for each set. But with that being said, let's go ahead and dive into the first box with Daughters of Khaine. The Khainite Slaughter Coven is an impressive force of Daughters of Khaine units. And I will say that it's not my cup of tea army, but it's a really cool army, and you're getting a good spread of units in this set. Daughters of Khaine, kind of like Ironjawz and some other factions, doesn't have a huge number of models, so this box actually represents a pretty good spread of the entire range. Let's dive into the contents of the box. So the first thing you're getting in the Battleforce set is the Bloodrack Shrine and/or Cauldron of Blood kit, which is a great value in terms of versatility and models for dollars, because you're actually getting 3 heroes and a monster for the price of 1. But this can be a little confusing when you look at it on the Games Workshop website, because there's so many different ways to kind of mix and match this kit. So I want to take a minute to go over it. The first hero you get in this kit is a Hag Queen, which you can either run her on foot, and she is a priest, or you can run her mounted on the Cauldron of Blood. You also get a Slaughter Queen, which is another priest at 130 points, who can also be run on top of the Cauldron of Blood for 315 points. Or you get a Bloodrack Medusa, which is pictured here on the Bloodrack Shrine, and she is 130 points or 200 points, depending on whether mounted or not, and she is a wizard. So you're getting 2 priests and a wizard in this kit, but that's not all. You're also getting the avatar of Khaine, who is a behemoth monster model. He's 155 points and can be run either on his own, or if you're running either the Hag Queen or the Slaughter Queen on top of the cauldron, then you also put the avatar of Khaine on top of the cauldron and it gains his attacks. The nice thing about this set is that you don't have to commit to any one configuration, because the models actually can just sit on top of the cauldron. If you look at how the Bloodrack Medusa is there, you can leave her on her base. And if you wanted it to be a little more stable, you could probably magnetize this pretty easily. But really nice kit overall. And very versatile, gives you a lot of options for starting an army. And depending on how you run it, it's 530 to 595 points. So really nice to see this included in the Battleforce box. After the Bloodrack Shrine or Cauldron, you're getting a unit of Melusai Bloodstalkers, which can alternatively be assembled as Melusai Blood Sisters. These are lovingly known as bow snakes. The stalkers are pictured on the bottom left, versus the Blood Sisters are armed with glaives and pictured on the top right. These are a more elite unit. If you're starting out, I'd recommend looking at the Stalkers first if you pick up this box, just because they're very strong in the current iteration of the game, although things can always change with balance changes. But both are solid, more elite 5 snake units. Good to have in the army. After that, you get a unit of these harpy-looking units, the Kinnerai Heart Renders, pictured on the bottom left with javelins, or the Life Takers, pictured on the top right, armed with scythes. The Heart Renders have a ranged attack, and they get a free move of 6 inches after they shoot, whereas the Life Takers get a chance to retreat for free for 6 inches on a 4-up roll, so 50-50 after they fight. And they have quite a strong melee profile to boot for their relatively cheap cost. Either of these are a great option for kind of filling out a list, and very mobile, good opportunities to kind of harass your opponent or just go steal objectives. You get a unit of Doomfire Warlocks, which is a cavalry unit that's also a wizard, and they get a very valuable +1 to cast while in a unit of 5 or more. And then you're getting your standard battle line and either a unit of Witch Elves pictured on the bottom left or Sisters of Slaughter pictured on the bottom right. Overall, going over the points, you're getting 1,020 to 1,150 points total, depending on how you choose to build your Battleforce box. So in terms of value, what are you getting here? The Bloodrack Shrine Kit, some of these being older models, is only $80. And then you're getting the Bloodstalkers or Sisters is $60. Heart Renders, Life Takers, also $60. Doomfire Warlocks are $42. The Witch Elves or Sisters of Slaughter are $60. And for a total value of $302. This is actually the lowest dollar value of any of the Battleforce boxes, which is worth noting. And you're looking at only a savings of about 27%, assuming that the box is $220 when the price is announced. This will, of course, be a little bit higher if they do stay at $210. We're looking at a points per dollar ratio that is quite good at 5.2 points per dollar. And given the versatility of this set, the amount of models you're getting, it's a great start to a Daughters of Khaine army. I give this set a B relative to the other Battleforce sets released this year. So next up is my favorite army, but not necessarily my favorite Battleforce box this year, as I will let you know why in a minute, in the Kruleboyz Swamp Lurkers. Let's take a look at it. So the most exciting part of this box is you're getting this huge centerpiece model and Gobsprakk, the Mouth of Mork. He's a 260-point wizard who has access to all the quite powerful Kruleboyz spells. He's got a lot of great utility options, some anti-magic abilities. And then you can also build it as the Killaboss on Corpse Ripper Vulture for 220 points. And the cool thing about this model is you can actually build both of the little heroes, and then you can just sit them in the little chair so that you can run it as either. So that's a lot of added value, and that you're not necessarily having to buy 2 of these just to run both of them, which I wouldn't recommend unless you want to have an army with 2 vultures in it. You're also getting the other most powerful Kruleboyz monster, and probably the most powerful Kruleboyz monster, in the Snatcher Boss on Sludge Raker Beast. Alternatively, you can run it as Swamp Boss Scumdrek, which is a unique version that has the same points cost. That happens to be the one pictured here. I would just build one, run it as whatever you like. But very solid model to have included in the box. You get a unit of Man-Skewer Boltboyz, which are bread and butter for the Kruleboyz, one of your key range threats, pumping out mortal wounds across the table, and you get a unit of Gutrippaz, which is your main standard battle line option. Something to be said about both of these is you're getting the multi-part kits in this Battleforce box, so they are going to include your musicians, your banner bearers, the little banner for the champion on the Boltboyz, and a lot of nice options to customize their heads and little trinkets you can put on their belt. They're very nice looking kits. Overall, depending on how you run your vulture, you're only looking at 790 to 830 points in this box, which is by far the least amount of points for any of the boxes released this year. So getting into the value of the Kruleboyz box, the Gobsprack or Vulture kit is really kind of the selling point for this box. This thing retails at $150 if purchased directly from Games Workshop. And then you're also getting the Snatcher Boss on Sludge Raker Beast, which is $60. The Boltboyz are $50, and the Gutrippaz are $55 at MSRP, giving you a total value of $315, which is pretty standard for the Battleforce boxes this year, looking at a savings of about 30%, assuming it runs for $220, which we'll have to wait and see. However, the downside of this box is the points per dollar ratio is the lowest of any of the boxes, given the kind of low amount of points included in the box compared to all the others, at only 3.8 points per dollar. The other problem I have with this box is that it's Kruleboyz, and there's a lot of redundancy with the existing discount boxes for Kruleboyz. The Boltboyz and the Gutrippaz you can still find, even though it's out of print, in the Warcry set for Kruleboyz, which ran for around like $65. You can actually still find it on Amazon for $68 at the time of recording this video. And worse than that, you also get Boltboyz and Gutrippaz. Granted, you don't get all the options, but there's easy ways to get around that with kit bash in the Dominion box. So they're very cheap on the secondhand market, meaning that the real value of this box is in the Snatcher Boss and the Vulture. Kruleboyz are my main army, and I can tell you I will not be buying this box. The only thing I would be buying it for would be the Vulture, which I don't actually own, but it's just not really worth it to me, as I already have a ton of Boltboyz, Gutrippaz. I already have a Snatcher Boss and don't strongly want to. Trying to keep this objective for anybody getting into Kruleboyz. It is a solid box. If you were to tack this onto a Dominion set, you'd actually be pretty good to go in terms of having a solid starting place for your Kruleboyz army. But thinking of the population at large, there are so many discount Kruleboyz options out there, and the points per dollar ratio, amount of what you're getting in this box, just doesn't quite stand up to the other boxes. So I give it a C if we're going to compare it to its brothers in arms here in the Battleforce boxes 2022. But still a good box in a lot of ways. Solid units in the 2 monsters. Next up is the box that I'm perhaps the most excited about, which is the Squig Heaven box and the Gloomspite Gitz Stampeding Squigalanche. Let's take a look at how many squigs you're getting in this box. So the first unit you're getting in the Battleforce box for Gloomspite Gitz is the Loon Boss on Giant Cave Squig. He's a 110 point little fella who rides around on that handsome squig there, and he's got this command ability that lets you speed up your other squigs. Everybody wholly within 12 inches for a command point gets plus 3 inches to their movement, which can help you out getting a little more consistent movement with your squigs, as a lot of them you roll a couple dice to actually see how far they move. So it's a very chaotic kind of army, which is a lot of fun. The Loon Boss on Mangler Squigs is very exciting to see in this box. He's a great centerpiece for your army at 270 points, or you can build it as regular Mangler Squigs, which are a non-hero monster for 250 points. Quite a fighty unit, and he gets a command ability that grants +1 to wound to friendly Squig units wholly within 18 inches. And the only thing better than one Mangler Squig is 2 Mangler Squigs, because you get another one of these, which you could also build as either the Loon Boss or the regular Mangler Squig. Truthfully, you could probably run it as either. Just make sure your opponent knows what they are, so I wouldn't sweat too much. Like, just build it however you like to look best. You also get a unit of Squig Hoppers, pictured at the top right. They run in units of 10 for 180 points. Or you can build it as 2 units of 5-man Boingrot Bounders, which would be 210 points total for all 10. The Squig Hoppers are battleline if your general is a Loon Boss on Giant Cave Squig or Loon Boss on Mangler Squig, so you're covered there. Boingrot Bounders are not battleline, but they're stronger attack profile, and they do some mortals on a charge. You also get a Squig Herd, which is quite a fun array of models for 140 points, and they will also be battle line as long as your general is Moon Clan, which all of your heroes included in this box are Moon Clan, so you're covered there as well. This comes to a whopping total of 930 to 1,000 points, which is actually really nice because you could run this if you built both the Mangler Squigs as Loon Bosses. You'll be right at exactly 1,000 points, at least with the current point values for Gloomspite Gitz. So great starter army right in a box. So let's talk about dollar value for the Squig box. The Loon Boss on Giant Cave Squig retails for $38 from Games Workshop. The Mangler Squigs, they are $85 each or $170 for the 2 of them. Your Squig Hopper kit, which can also be built as Boingrot Bounders, is $55, and the Squig Herd is $50. This comes to a sum total of $313, with an estimated savings of 30%. Again, assuming a 220-point retail value. We'll have to see what these boxes go for once GW announces the prices. And the points per dollar ratio is kind of in the middle for all of the Battleforce boxes this year at 4.5. But overall, I give this box an A. This is a great start to a Squig-focused army, beautiful models, and it's just really good to see Gloomspite Gitz getting a little bit of love, because they have not had a lot of love recently, and this would also be a good investment, if you will, because Gloomspite Gitz are due for a 3rd edition Battle Tome, and I expect they'll get one next year. I certainly hope so. So we'll see, but great box. I love it. If I didn't have a modicum of self-control, I'd probably be buying it, but anyway, moving on. Next kit is the Skaven Verminous Host, and as you can see, there are 85 models in this set with a whopping 80 rats. So let's take a look at it, see how it stacks up to the other boxes. So first up in the Battleforce Skaven box is the Plague Priest on Plague Furnace with 335 points, which can alternatively be assembled as a Grey Seer on Screaming Bell for 325 points for a powerful mounted priest or wizard hero respectively. The Plague Priest, of course, is part of the Pestilence clan, and I would recommend, if you're just starting out, to assemble your kit as the Plague Furnace, because it has synergies with the 40 Plague Monks included in the kit, and more importantly, having a Plague Priest unlocks 1 unit of Plague Monks as battle line for your army, which is going to be important, especially if this set is all you have. Now, one thing to know about this kit is that you can build the hero that you don't build the little mount as on foot. Just know it doesn't come with a base. You need a 32mm base, and I would recommend finding a 32mm base. There's generally extras in some kits, and I'm sure a friend or someone might have one, or you can pick one up pretty cheap online, and just assembling and gluing the other hero to that base. If you want to get really creative, there are ways to magnetize this kit so that you can run it as either the Plague Furnace or Screaming Bell. It's a question of whether it's more time than it's worth, kind of up to you. Warlock Bombardier is a Scryer hero, which importantly unlocks the Storm Fiends included in this kit as battle line. He's a little foot wizard, quite a fun little unit. I love the model. I always think it looks like he's playing a guitar with his little cannon thing, so he's fun. You get a unit of Storm Fiends, which are a very powerful and great looking model. They have an array of powerful melee and ranged attacks. Now, here's where they were really selling this kit with the 40 clan rats, which is 2 units of 20 for 200 points total. And you also get 40 plague monks. Now, the plague monks are running units of 10, so that's 360 points total for 90 points per 10-man unit of plague monks. And again, this is why I recommend having the plague priest in your army. That way you can run one of these as battle line. The Plague Furnace gives some benefits to your Pestilence units. However, you could also put the Plague Priest on foot and run the Gracier on Screaming Bell if you like. This comes to a total of 1,320 to 1,330 points, which is one of the higher points totals for any of the boxes we'll be talking about today, depending on how you build the Plague Furnace versus Screaming Bell. This does not account for the extra little foot hero. If you do build your Gracier or Plague Priest, that would be an extra 125 or 100 points for the Gracier or Plague Priest respectively. But since the kit doesn't actually include a base, unlike, for example, the Cauldron of Blood kit for the extra hero, I'm not including it here. So let's talk about the value you're looking at with these 85 models in this kit. The Plague Furnace or Screaming Bell is $70 when purchased individually. Your Warlock Bombardier is $30. Storm Fiends are $79. The Clan Rats come to a sum total of $84. They are sold in kits of 20 Clan Rats each for $42. Plague Monks, very similar, generally sold for $42 for 20 or $84 for 40. Coming to a total value of $338 US and an estimated savings of 35%, assuming this goes for $220. And also, one of the highest points per dollar ratios of any of the boxes at 6 points per dollar. So looking at the numbers alone, this looks like a really great Battleforce box. However, I have some issues with it, and I think those issues are quite easily visualized if we just pull up these images. Almost everything in this kit has either recently or is currently available at a similar discount in a smaller discount box. The Storm Fiends and 20 Clan Rats are available in Vanguard Skaven. 20 of the Plague Monks and the Plague Furnace and or Screaming Bell was previously available in the Old Start Collecting Kit. And then on top of that, they also just had Echoes of Doom, which also included the Screaming Bell, also included 20 Clan Rats. So with that being said, I don't think that this is as great of a box as it looks like purely based on the numbers, largely because there are lots and lots and lots of Clan Rats and Plague Monks and Plague Furnaces available on the secondhand market on eBay. There are other places to get good discounts on these models. So unless you specifically want everything in this box, or maybe if you're a starting player for Skaven, it might be a great place to start, get you a good starting army, get you that feel of running big hordes of rats, which is fun. Not currently the most powerful way to play Skaven, but thematic. For those reasons, I have to give it a C. Even though it's one of the better value sets purely on a dollar standpoint, it's not the greatest value in terms of what you're getting on the tabletop, especially when you look at other places that you can get these exact same models. Next up is the Nighthaunt Legion of Grief. Lady Olinder leads the charge with a wonderful black coach model. I'm quite excited about this one, and let me tell you why. So the first major selling point of this box is that it includes Lady Olinder herself, the Mortarch of Grief. Coming in at 340 points, she is a 2-cast wizard. She has a 4-up ward, so she's quite durable. and she has a lot of abilities to bring back or heal your slain Nighthaunt. Just a great model for really any Nighthaunt army in a lot of ways, and a great looking model as well. One thing to note with her is that she's not actually a very big model, which isn't like always the clearest from just looking at a picture of it. So if you're looking for a big center voice, this box has also got you covered at the Black Coach, which is a beautiful model, arguably one of the best looking in the game. And in the latest edition, the 3rd edition Battle Tome, it's got some ways to pack a punch on the table too. Between it can teleport around the table every turn, has some good attack profiles, and just a fun model overall. You're also getting a unit of Bladegeist Revenants for 175 points. They do mortals on a charge if you run them in Scarlet Doom, which also unlocks them as battleline. They're a good fighty unit overall. You also get a unit of Dread Scythe Harridans for 160 points, which become battleline in the Quicksilver Dead faction, and they also gain an ability in that sub-faction to ignore wards. You also get a unit of Grimghast Reapers at 160 points, who are just a standard battle line unit, and for a total of 1,170 points of Nighthaunt. Talking value for the Nighthaunt, Lady Olinder costs $50 if you buy her full price. Black Coach is 130. Bladegeist Revenants are 50. Dread Scythe Harridans are 50. Grimghast Reapers are also 50. So this is $330 worth of value, again all at MSRP Games Workshop prices. And again, assuming a $220 price point for this box, you're looking at a savings of about 33%. And that's a points per dollar ratio of 5.3, which is quite solid. Given the spread of units in this box, all things that are good to have, the only one that has been included in other recent discount boxes are the Grimghast Reapers. I give this box an A. It's a very solid pickup, whether you're looking to expand your Nighthaunt army or to start a new one with this box alone. Next up is the Sylvaneth Revenant Wargrove, and this one's quite exciting. Just looking at it, you can see you're getting 3 large trees along with some of the smaller Revenants and Dryads. Leading the charge for the Sylvaneth is Drycha Hamadreth, a 335 point big old tree with a bunch of bugs. She's really cool. Sylvaneth players seem to love her. I think the model's kind of gross with the hives and the bugs, but in the best sort of way. She has some really kind of powerful fighty type attack profiles, pumping out 10 ranged attacks, 10 melee attacks, and then you get to choose every turn to double one of those to 20. And to make matters even worse, or better, depending on how you want to look at it, you're dealing mortal wounds on 6s with her. So quite powerful, quite a great little centerpiece leader model for your army. And she'll be backed up by 2 large Tree Lord units from the Tree Lord kit. You can build this as either the Spirit of Durthu, pictured in the top left with the large sword. He's a fighty hero, melee focused. Tree Lord Ancient for 360 points, pictured in the top right with the staff, is a wizard hero. And the regular Tree Lord, pictured at the bottom, is a regular monster, not a hero. Can be run as battle line, notably in one of the sub-factions for Sylvaneth. Like I said, you're getting 2 of these, so that's another 260 to 370 points, depending on how you choose to build them. If you're just starting out and don't have any of these, I would recommend building the Spirit of Durthu and the Tree Lord Ancient to start. You get 2 units of either Tree Revenants or Spite Revenants, which go for 105 to 110 points, and when you put them together, you're looking at either 210 to 220 points worth of models. I would recommend looking at the Spite Revenants if you're just starting out. They have a pretty straightforward but strong profile with an ability to do mortal wounds. The Tree Revenants come with some command features and ability to do an all-out attack or all-out defense once per battle round without spending a command point. Spite Revenants, notably, you can use as battle line in one of the sub-factions, so you might want to look at those if this is your very first purchase with Sylvaneth, just to fulfill your battle line requirements for like a 1,000-point army, but both solid, and you could build one of each if you wanted to try out both. You also get a unit of Dryads, which is 100 points and are a standard battleline unit. And notably, you're getting 16. It's a bit of a holdover from Warhammer Fantasy Battle. They're run in units of 10. But if you can find 4 or more, then you're looking at 20, which could also fill out your battleline units. And it's not hard to find extras either from somebody selling them on the secondhand market, eBay, or maybe a friend has a couple extra they wouldn't be mind like selling to you or trading for something. Looking at a total of 1,165 to a whopping 1,385 points if you were to build everything at the highest possible point value. I'm talking about the value for the Sylvaneth box. Drycha is a $60 kit. And the 2 Tree Lord kits will be $140 total as they run for $70 each. The Revenant kits run for $50 each, so $100 total for the 2. And then you're getting a $50 kit of 16 Dryads. This comes into a total value of $350 US, which is the highest of any of the Battleforce boxes for this year. And again, if we assume a $220 price point, you're looking at a 37% savings and a points per dollar ratio of 6.3. Now, one possible critique of this kit is that it does include the Tree Lord kits, and it's including the Revenants and Dryads, which are included in the new Vanguard kit and the old Start Collecting kit, respectively. The Tree Lord was in both of those, so there is a little bit of overlap with those. However, if you compare it to the Kruleboyz or the Skaven kit, I think that this is less of an issue here just because the value is so high, and also the Tree Lord kit has a lot more versatility. It's something where you want to have multiples of those in Sylvaneth. So I give this one an A. This seems like quite a good value set. And finally, it wouldn't be Age of Sigmar if we didn't get yet another Stormcast discount box. This one is quite exciting with the inclusion of the dragons. This is the Stormcast Thunderstrike Spearhead. So what do you get in the box? It is all focused on the Thunderstrike Stormcast Eternals, and notably it is kits that really haven't been included in other discount boxes, so you can kind of expand your newer range of Thunderstrike Stormcast if you want. The hero model included in this is the Knight Relictor, which is a 120 point Thunderstrike Priest foot model. He's got a little bit of anti-priest ability, which there's not a ton of priests being run in the game, but it is good to get a priest of your own for your Stormcast list. You're getting the Annihilators with Grand Hammers, which are a fighty unit, do quite a bit of mortals when they crash down from the sky. Very strong attack profile for 240 points. You can alternatively build them with the shields, which tones down their weapons profile, but gives them a 2-up save for 180 points. You're getting 2 5-man units of Vanquishers for 220 points. Notably, these are not battleline, but they are quite similar to the Vindictors units, but have pretty decent attack profile, and it scales up when they're attacking like hordes of units. For units with 5 or 10 models, they gain some extra attacks for both of those. And you get a unit of Vigilors, meaning 10 total or 2 5-man units. And these are a scout type unit that have quite effective both ranged and melee profiles, which is kind of cool. Both of these are some of the best looking Stormcast models out there, in my opinion. The new slimmer Stormcast are quite attractive, and I like the little cloaks on both of these guys. These are 340 points for all 10. The big selling point of this box is you get a unit of Stormdrake Guard, which are quite powerful. They were toned down in some nerfs a while back. They used to have like this ridiculous extra movement that's been taken away, but still great looking models, quite strong on the tabletop. It's 340 points for a standard unit of Stormdrake Guard, but you can also build it as a Knight Draconis, which is a hero version for 300 points. And the Knight Draconis is actually pictured here on the left with the flaming sword. And then when you have a Knight Draconis, you can run the other model from the kit as a singleton Stormdrake Guard for 170 points. This gives you 1,200 to 1,390 points of Stormcast, which is, again, one of the highest of any of the Battleforce boxes, technically the highest, edging out the Sylvaneth by 5 points. So let's talk value for the Stormcast. The Night Relictor retails for $35 at MSRP. The Annihilators kit, meaning the standalone multi-pose kit, not the ones from Dominion, is $55. The Vanquishers are $60. Vigilors are similarly $60 for 10. The Stormdrake Guard are $115 US, bringing the total value to $325 US. So the savings you get in this box is about 32%, but the points per dollar ratio is very high at 6.3 points per dollar. Now, given the total value of this kit and the fact that you're not really seeing any repeats of things from other Stormcast boxes, I do have to give this an A. It is quite a solid collection of Stormcast. The Vanquishers and Vigilors aren't seeing as much play, but they did just see some points decreases, and they're very good looking models and would be fun to play with, in my opinion. And the Annihilators, you are getting the multi-pose kit, so you can build them either with the Meteoric Grand Hammers. They would be the only overlap with, say, the Dominion box, which includes the shield version, but there's no option for the Grand Hammer version. And the big selling point on this box is that you're getting the dragons. That would be the main thing that I would consider buying the box for. I won't be picking it up for myself, although if I were to buy any of the boxes this year, I would probably pick up this one. I already have a Stormcast army, and I don't really have any of the units pictured in this box, so solid set overall. So as for my overall thoughts on the Battleforce boxes this year, I want to say that these are all very solid purchases, all with very solid discounts. I know I spent a lot of time comparing, but they're all going to give you like a 30 to 35% discount on the units included. But that's the big point, is that they are only solid purchases if you are starting the army from scratch that is involved, or you need the units in the box. And the value starts to go down precipitously if there are things you already own a bunch of in the box, or things that you're not going to use. And the worst case scenario is if you buy the box because it looks cool and then it sits on your shelf unopened or models on the sprue. At that point, it's just a waste of money. So just keep that in mind. This is going to be a limited edition run, so there is a little bit of that FOMO marketing. You don't want to miss out on these cool boxes, but I would really recommend only buying them if you're like really want the box and can fit it into your army. All that out of the way, I think Gloomspite Gitz got some love finally, which was really nice to see. I was hoping to see some of the underloved armies get boxes this year. But Gloomspite Gitz was kind of the only one. The rest of the sets all have 3rd edition battle tomes. Many of them recently got their battle tome and a Vanguard set within the last year. And it was kind of interesting to see that Kruleboyz and the Thunderstrike Stormcast both got a box. They were both in the launch box, which I know is about a year and a half ago at this point. That kind of brings me to my biggest critique of these boxes, is that there's a lot of redundancies with existing discount box sets, especially for the Kruleboyz, especially for the Skaven, but also for the Sylvaneth. I know I didn't make as big of a deal of it for them, but many of those models were already in discount boxes. Same with Daughters of Khaine. I cut them a little more slack because they have a smaller range, so there's less units to pick from. But you know, even the Squigalanche, the Squig Herd is in a box, but the rest of those models aren't. Really the only one where there is not something that's already in a discount box is the Stormcast, and I say that with kind of an asterisk because you get Annihilators and Dominion, and you do get the multi-part Annihilators with the big hammers in their Warcry set, but everything else in there wasn't in a discount set before. And lastly, as you can see, I just think it was great to see that there's been more love for Age of Sigmar this year. This is by far the most Battleforce boxes we've ever gotten, and I hope this continues. 7 is way more than I was expecting. I was expecting 4, maybe 5 or 6, but we got 7. 40K got 8. This is all great to see. Lastly, I thought it would be a little bit of fun to take a look at, if I ran Games Workshop, how I might change each of these boxes. Now, my kind of rough guidelines for this is that the box would have to stay in the range of total dollar value and discount of what we saw with these Battleforce boxes. And starting with the Kruleboyz, as much as I love them, as much as I love Gobsprak, I would get rid of them. They've had enough releases in the past year and a half, and replace them with another destruction force. First, I was thinking either Bone Splitters, Iron Jaws, maybe Ogres, but the more I thought about it, I think a Sons of Behemoth Battleforce box would be awesome. You could sell it for more, sell it for $280. 2 Mega Gargants would be all that would be in there, but that would be a 33% discount compared to buying them individually. And it would be a great start, make the Sons of Behemoth line a lot more accessible for new players. I think it would be cool. Daughters of Khaine, this may be a bit of a pipe dream, but I think if they had included Morathi in the box, ditch the Warlocks and the Witch Elves, you'd be right at a $350 value, so on par with the Revenant Wargrove Sylvaneth box. And, you know, Death Guard got Mortarion, Kruleboyz had Gobsprak. I think there's enough precedent for including the big $150 centerpiece. Why not throw Morathi into the Daughters of Khaine box? I think it would generate a lot more excitement for that one. Nighthaunt, I'm okay with it. I'd leave it as is. I thought about maybe switching the Grimghast Reapers out for like Hex Wraiths or another hero like the Cruciator, but nothing compelling enough to make a huge change. Skaven, I would add a Vermin Lord and Sturm Vormin and just drop the 80 rats. I mean, I don't think 80 dingus rats is like a big enough selling point for this. I think having the Vermin Lord would put in some internal synergy with the Screaming Bell, which has a chance to summon a Vermin Lord. And it would be nice to have Storm Vermin in there. You don't see them as much in the kind of standard discount boxes. They were in Echoes of Doom. The Gitz I would leave as is. This is actually my pick for my favorite box of this year. I think it's beautiful. I love Squigs. This is the perfect Squig box. Don't change it. Now the Stormcast box is actually pretty good, but I would replace it with something else, and I think something like Beasts of Chaos getting a little bit of love would have been nice to see. Beasts of Chaos have historically not gotten very much love. They did finally get their day in the sun in terms of rules, as they're quite strong right now, so this would have been a good time actually to put out a Beasts of Chaos box. I think it would have sold, even though they're older models. And then lastly, Sylvaneth, I'd leave it as is. I thought about maybe would a Lariel have been a better centerpiece, but I think Drycha is solid, and I think everything else included in the box is quite solid as well. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think about these Battleforce boxes, what you liked, what you didn't like. If you're thinking of picking any of these up, let me know in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching. Keep painting your armies, and keep making smart purchase choices. Anyway, see ya.